Right, my friends, this has been a long time coming. I've actually been planning on doing this video since July of last year, and every time I try to record it, I'm not happy, but I'm literally just going to ply through this without fail. So this is going to be like 50 or 60 so anime that I've watched, and I'm just going to put them in a tier list and just talk about them, because I need to get stuff off my mind. So anyway, we'll be rating these from S to trash. Obviously S is going to be something I'd recommend to anybody that's like not even an anime watcher, and trash is basically to avoid. We'll be doing it series and season by season. So if it's one series with multiple seasons, I'll just talk about that all in like one go and rate them individually. This is all going to be done as well, presuming it has an English dub, because I just prefer dub. I know people are like, oh, filthy degenerate, you don't watch subs, whatever. It's personal opinions, and literally you're watching a video of somebody talking about their personal opinion about what they enjoy watching. Not exactly like what is the best thing on here, but obviously I will try and explain why I think I like something, which is always difficult because, people hate on stuff for no reason, which is rather ironic coming from me. So anyway, let's crack on. So we'll start off with the movie Your Name. This is going to go in S. It is absolutely fantastic. The animation quality is amazing. The main characters are Mitsuha and Taki going through the whole body swapping thing and sort of knowing stuff about each other without actually meeting is pretty damn good. And then the plot twist in the middle is pretty wild. It does take a different change of pace. It sort of slows down and you sort of know more about a couple of the characters. And yeah, it's good. So Your Line April as well. This is one of the more recent ones I've watched. I'm also going to put this in S as well. The emotional damage it's taken on me, I think, mainly because of the ending. The ending is bittersweet, I want to say, but it is kind of fulfilling in a way as well. Everything gets neatly wrapped up and everyone goes through their character arcs. And I suppose it does kind of leave stuff open for the characters, and you can imagine what happens to them in the end. But I'm very happy with this. The animation style is pretty odd. Like, the characters have two bigger lips, but I think the manga was the same as well, that they look kind of odd, which I don't actually mind. The main character of Kayori Mizono is absolutely fantastic. She's one of my favourite sort of protagonists, I guess. Well, she's a dual protagonist with Kosei Arima. And the emotional journey each of them go on, especially Kosei going through, like, figuring out his mum did actually love him, even though she was like mean to him, and she just wanted the best for him, and him going through his emotional trauma and all that stuff. I'm just wibbling on, so we'll move on to Tamako Market. Tamako Market is going to go in B. It is comfy. It's cute girls doing cute things. It's about a bunch of girls that sort of live in this market, and the main character of Tamako lives and works in a mochi shop, where they make sweets. And it's about their sort of daily lives, but it's also got this overarching plot of this sort of prince trying to find this arranged marriage. It's like his destiny to marry this woman with like a mole just above her, like on her chest or something. And so he sends out this bird to find this woman, because it's, all destiny. And the bird is called Dero Mochi Matsui, which translates to like mochi is disgusting, which I find quite funny. And he stops off at this market on his journey, and he gets fed mochi, and he literally just becomes fat because of it. So he stays there, and it's about antics of like him being just annoying. He's the funniest character in it, but yeah, it's good. The younger sister gets a pretty good character arc as well. I think she's one of the standout characters in it. So yeah, I just like it. It's cute girls doing cute things. So Attack on Titan now. I've only seen the first 3 seasons because I want, I want the whole story to be finished until I watch the next 4, because it's got, different animation style, and I'll just binge the whole thing so I know what's actually going on. So, season 1's going to get an A, season 2's going to get a B, and season 3 is going to get an S. So season 1, I think, does set the stage really well for what is happening, and it sort of sets the atmosphere for the whole series. There's lots of character deaths. It asks a load of questions that you want to know the answers for, like what's in the basement of, Eren's house, and all stuff like that, and where did the Titans come from, and why are they attacking, and all stuff like that. It's really good. It's got a plot, loads of plot twists as well, and stuff you don't really expect. And yeah, so season 2 is going to get a B because it's a lot shorter. And a lot of it is just Eren crying and screaming, which I don't really like. When I think back to this season, I don't really have that many fond memories, but it's obviously still good. It does continue the story, and it's, obviously vital to actually, finish things. But yeah, it's not as good as what comes next, which is obviously season 3, which is going to get an S. It is a lot longer. The characters are more developed. It answers a load of questions. They sort of get the upper hand on the Titans. It's just overall amazing. I thoroughly enjoy it. My favourite character obviously has to be Zoe Honji, and she's, just great. Yeah. Also, I should mention that we'll be talking about the soundtracks as well for these animes, so I actually just want to go back. So, Your Line April, the first opening is an absolute banger. Tamako Market, opening and ending, absolute bangers. Season 1 of Attack on Titan, absolute banger. Yeah, it's pretty good. So we'll be rating that on the side as well, just in case you haven't noticed, because I'm not sure I'm going to edit this yet, but whatever. So Violet Evergarden now, this is going to get an S as well. It's much like Your Line April, it's emotionally damaging and takes quite a toll on you. I think there's only like 2 episodes which I didn't cry at. It follows the journey of Violet, or the name she's given is Violet, and she is like an orphan from war, but she was also like basically this devoid of emotion killing machine that was just used as a weapon in this war. And then when she comes out of the war, she gets both her arms like blown away, and they're replaced with like mechanical ones. So obviously she has to adapt to life outside of this war, and she becomes a thing called an auto memories doll, which are people that use typewriters to compose letters for people which are, either dyslexic, don't have access to a typewriter, illiterate, all these kinds of things. So I have to compose these letters for people, and she learns to get emotions from that, and what meaning of like love is, sorrow, happiness, and all this and that, and it goes through her emotional journey of being sort of adjusting to being a normal person, I guess. And I did see a meme the other day, and it was like, "Son, why are you crying?" It's like, "No reason, Dad." "You're lying. You watched episode 10 of Violet Evergarden." And I think that's the one that hit me the most. I won't spoil it, but it is. I try not to think about it too much, but it is very upsetting. And the opening song is an absolute banger as well. So we'll finish with that. Steins Gate. This is going to get an S as well. It's absolutely fantastic in terms of the sci-fi parts of the story. So it follows a bunch of scientists, or a group of people, although only 2 of them are real scientists, and it involves like time travel and conspiracy theories and all stuff like that. And it's about changing the future and the past and trying to prevent this murder as well. It's absolutely fantastic. If you haven't played the visual novel, I would thoroughly recommend that. Okay, you don't get like as much animation quality or detail as, the actual animation, but I think it goes into a lot more depth. The anime is absolutely amazing though. It's probably one of my favorites, although I wasn't that really into it because obviously I know what's coming up because I've played the visual novel, but it is still absolutely fantastic. And I can't remember the opening or ending themes, so unless it's hacking to the gate, which is, it also in the visual novel, but whatever. So K-On! Seasons 1 and 2. I haven't watched the movie because that'd be like admitting the series is over, and it holds a special place in my heart. So Season 1 is going to get a B, and Season 2 is going to get an A. I think a lot of people would actually reverse these. So Season 1 I don't think is as good because it condenses 2 school years into 1. Ideally, you would have had 3 seasons, one of their first year, second year, and then third year, but they chose not to do that. So it condenses 2 of their school years into 1, and I don't think it really does that great of a job of having the girls like develop as people in the first season. Although it is cute girls doing cute things, and it's like, slice of life, and you don't really kind of expect it. But the main thing is that they're in a band, and they never really do any band practice. It's just them like goofing off, which is, I get, is the whole point. But I don't know, I would have just liked them to have a bit of like friction about wanting this band to sort of take off, but they don't really do that until quite late on, which I don't know, kind of annoys me. And also one of the main characters, Sumugi Kotobuki, she doesn't get a episode dedicated to her. She's just kind of there, which I think's a bit of a shame because she's one of the more interesting characters. So, so season 2 I think is a lot better because it kind of drags things out, but it's more about the girls. Obviously, they're going to be leaving school after this year, and it's about them. Initially, it's about them trying to get more members for the band, so Asuza isn't on her own for the next year, which I really like that aspect of it. And I think I can't remember what else I was going to say. Mugi gets an episode dedicated to her, which is pretty good as well, about her wanting to be bonked on the head and get one of those like lumps, because the comical lumps which Mugi hits Ritsu on the head and she'll have like this massive bump on her head, and Mugi wants one of those because it's like part of being alive or whatever. But yeah, it's good. So pretty much every song is a banger in these. Like the songs they actually play, the opening themes. The only opening or ending theme I don't like is the first one for season 2. So there we go. And then we have Hyouka, which I'm going to put in B. It's got a lot of detective stuff. It's got a lot of mystery stuff. It is also incredibly slow. So that's one of the reasons why I would probably rate it lower than some other people do. It is absolutely fantastic the way the main character's mind works of discovering everything out about people. So it's about a guy and a bunch of other people that join like this literature club, and they've got to write this. I think it's an almanac or something else. So they've got to write this book for this sort of school festival, and it's about them sort of doing stuff towards that. But then there's also like these mysteries that go on about like stuff missing, and the main character has like this aptitude for sort of discovering stuff, a bit like a detective, and a lot of it is about him discovering stuff and figuring stuff out, which I really like. It kind of reminds me of like some Sherlock Holmesy stuff in a way, and I just enjoy it. Well, there's one episode where him and the other main character Eri Chitanda, which is probably one of the reasons why to watch it, because she's quite a good character. They're literally just sat in the club room, and there's an announcement on the speaker for a student to go to the student council room for some reason. I can't remember the reason they give, but then those two are in a club room, and the whole episode is basically just them trying to figure out why the kid was actually brought to the principal's room, and like all the rumours that surrounded it. It was like money laundering was like one of the possibilities, and one of them they do actually go through and they think, oh yeah, it's that, and it turns out it's right. It's pretty interesting how it works, but yeah, whatever. Then we have Amagi Brilliant Park. We are literally on a roll of just doing Kyoto animation ones at the moment, so this is also going to get a B. It's quite good. It's like there's a magical amusement park with like these magical people that run the attractions, and it's a bit run down and it's going to be shut, and if it's shut, like this princess dies. So the main character, whose name I can't remember because he's basically just generic, he's brought in to manage the park, but he's kind of tricked into it by Sento. What? I can't remember the rest of her name, but Sento, the woman with the gun, and she dresses a bit like a Beefeater, like the guards in red outside Buckingham Palace. She dresses a bit like that. So she basically tricks him to go there on a date with her, and she threatens him at gunpoint. So he goes there and he becomes the park manager, and you find out all the guests there. Sorry, all the park workers are like magical, and what else? Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I didn't like the ending though. Like the ending does fulfill things, but then it just ends really abruptly, and that really doesn't sit with me whenever I think about this. So yeah, not going to be giving it praise to high heavens. And the opening theme is kind of annoying, not going to lie. Toradora now. So I will actually do a full review of this at some point. I was going to do it for White Day, but that's in 6 days' time because I'm recording this on the 9th. So I won't actually have it done by then. Oh dear. Anyway, so Toradora is going to get an S. It's obviously about Tiger, Asuka Tiger, or Tiger Asuka, however you pronounce her name, and Ryuji Takazu, the two main characters. One of the things that really propels this series is that even though you know where it's going to end up, you just kind of keep watching anyway. You want to know how those two grow as people, how Tiger becomes, you know, a bit more mellow. She learns to chill out. There's a lot of things in it which require you to watch it a second time. You sort of notice things about, especially Tiger, like her feelings change, and when she realises she actually, you know, starts getting feelings for Ryuji, and it's pretty fantastic. I just really love the character development. Characters like Ami Kawashima are pretty amazing as well. She's probably my favourite character in it because she's just like really bitchy, but she also has like a more delicate side. The characters are absolutely just amazing. I need to talk about this in like a full video, but you know, I missed Valentine's Day because, you know, reasons, but whatever. So we talk about also every song in this is a banger. You know, Orange, Parade, if that's how you pronounce it, Silky Heart, and whatever the ending theme to 2 is. No, the ending theme to 2 is Orange, isn't it? The second part, and then Vanilla Salt is the ending for part 1, which I think about that song most of the time, even more than the openings. It's like, it's just good. Vanilla Salt, what a banger. So Psycho Pass, season 1 is going to get an S. It is absolutely fantastic. It's a bit like Minority Report, in which they try and solve crimes before they happen, but it's done by a system which scans people and like their crime coefficient. So it basically detects latent criminality in people, and obviously the twist is that there's a villain who's basically immune to that, and he commits crimes willy-nilly, and they don't really have any power to stop him, because this whole system is linked to their guns, which are called are they called Enforcers? No, it can't be right. Dominators, that's the name. The pretty cool sci-fi looking guns. So if they're over a certain level of criminality, it basically just makes them explode. So it saves them having to go to court and all that. Saves the Japanese government money. Yeah, it's pretty good. The rivalry between Kogami and Makishima, you know, the main villain and one of the main characters, is pretty good. All the characters go through really good development as well. Like Ginoza, probably my favourite character. He's like really stuck up and he does everything by the books. And he sort of learns to like relax by the end of it. Well, I say relax, but he goes through a major character arc for which is more prevalent in like season 2 and the movie, but whatever. So season 2 is going to get an F. This is the first like worst one we've rated. The villain is basically a joke in this. It introduces a whole load of new characters which go through the same character arcs as like the ones that survived season 1. No, sorry, it goes through the same character arcs as the ones that didn't survive in season 1, and they're just awful people. Like the new Inspector is just like an absolute bitch. I genuinely hate her. She goes through the same arc as like what's her name? Oh, I can't even remember. Can't remember the woman's name from season 1. The main inspector there. So she goes through basically the same arc as that, but she's just like not as good, and it's just kind of annoying. I would thoroughly like not watch it because most of the interesting characters in it aren't there. There's only like 2 good characters: Inspector Tsunemori, which is the character's name I couldn't remember, and Ginoza. Everyone else is just like whatever. So the movie is going to get a C. It's okay. I wouldn't say it was that bad. But one of the characters from season 1 returns, and he's pretty good. It's about them trying to implement this, you know, the latent criminality detection system, the Sybil system as it's called, into a new country. And Tsunemori gets sent there to, like, oversee it in a way, but she kind of undermines it because there's, like, this guerrilla warfare between the government and, like, these renegade people. And she gets caught up in all that, and yeah, I can't really remember much else of the plot, but that's basically what happens. It's okay. Sorry, I've literally got something stuck in my throat. I don't know why. Every time I keep talking, it just keeps getting worse, but whatever. Kill la Kill, this is going to get an S. The animation style is absolutely amazing. It's done by Studio Trigger, so obviously they've done other things. They did the opening for one of the Shantini games, or Shanti, or whatever her name is. You know, the one where he plays the half-genie hero. It's pretty good, and I also did like Gurren Lagann and stuff like that. It's amazing, I want to say. For just the action scenes alone and the comedy, it is well worth it. The plot isn't too bad either. I'd say the plot is, probably 7 out of 10. It's it's got a pretty good twist like right in the middle, and I honestly just love the fights. And whenever I think about something that just has ridiculous action, I always think of this, and just the whole concept of it is just so stupid as well. But it's putting in S for anybody to watch who doesn't watch anime, I wouldn't actually say that. I'd put it in that tier, but I wouldn't actually say that because like all the fan service. But it's just good. Akame ga Kill now we'll put in A. It's pretty good. The ending isn't great, I will admit. It's nothing like the manga, which has a lot more survivors. So if you like being depressed and seeing a lot of people not live, then this is the series for you. I think in the end there's only like 3 people that survive for literally no reason, because the anime ended before the manga, and they just like, I suppose they didn't really have the time or budget to finish off a load of character arcs. It's just like easier to kill them, which, pretty depressing. And I suppose if you kill somebody off, you can finish their character arc episodes early, whereas if they survive to the end, you have to like try and wrap things up in the last episode, which I don't particularly like. So it's about a bunch of mercenaries that are trying to like overthrow this tyrannical government, and they all have like these special powers in terms of weapons, and it's about just them going on their journey to do that, and then fighting the bad guys and getting killed in the process. That's the simple way of putting it. So robotics notes, I'm going to put in, I've written all the ratings that I want for things here, but I'm actually going to put it lower. I'm going to put it in C. It's really hard to explain, and it takes a massively different turn in the second half of it. So initially it starts off as like a bunch of kids in a robotics club, which is Akio Sonomiya, who sounds literally just like Yui from K-On! And she's trying to live up to her sister at this school for having a robotics club and trying to enter a competition and win that way and get her sister's approval, so she sees that she's, can live up to her legacy, essentially. And then it's got like this whole government conspiracy about this like magnetic field thing, which gives 2 of the main characters special powers. One of them can like slow his heart rate down and move in slow motion to do stuff, but he's really good at like video games. And also like the government are trying to control people by using brainwashing techniques and robots. It's kind of weird. I'd probably have to rewatch it again if I gave it any rating higher. One of the saving graces for it is Fry Kojiro, or Kona Fukugori. She is absolutely fantastic character. She was this channel's avatar for a while, and I think about her a lot. She's just like a neat, but also she's just like got this absolutely filthy mind. It's just funny, but she's also like this programming genius. It's pretty good. So Danganronpa, the first season. You know what? This is another one in which I'm going to lower the rating for. I put it in C, but I'm actually going to put it in F. I don't think it's worth watching at all. The animation style is incredibly sort of jarring, I want to say. It really stands out. Like, everything's too bright. It's way too abridged for what the actual game should be. Just play the game, basically. I really didn't enjoy it. That's just what I want to say. It's what, like 12 episodes, and the amount of stuff they have to fit in, and you never really learn too much about the characters before they're just killed, because whatever. It is what it is. I don't think it had the atmosphere that the games do, and there's in the games there's sort of like this sense of you're kind of on your own, and you could be killed at any point, but that I mean, obviously never happens, but you just get a sense of feeling when you're like walking around the school in the game that there's a chance you could come across a body at any point, whereas there's like hardly any suspense in the anime. That's just what I want to say. So one of my favourite series now, Girls und Panzer. So the first series, or first season, because they do it kind of weird, but whatever. So first season is going to get a B. I rewatched the last 3 episodes like almost religiously. It's got some of the best action I've seen. So the whole concept of Girls and Panzer is girls that teenage girls in high school that do a thing called tankery, which they basically pilot World War II tanks and do battles with each other, and it supposedly makes them better women. And the whole concept is, well, the whole premise around this is that their school's going to be shut down if they don't win this tournament. And the main character used to do tankery at another school, but she quits it for some like tragic reason, which is one of the aspects which I don't really like. I like that they had a reason for her not doing tankery, but I don't think they really developed on that until like the later episodes when you could have done it nearer the start and have her go through the trauma there. Well, it's a bit of a harsh word, but she goes through that and she like becomes a better person. And one of the things I also don't like is the main character, Mio Nishizumi. So in the last couple of episodes, I only just realised this the other day, people will just say a whole load of dialogue to her and her response would just be like, yeah, or okay. It's just, it does my head in. It's like they could have like a meaningful conversation and she just says that. It's just, yeah. So her main bits of dialogue come through like the tank battles. The tank battles are easily the best thing about this, which I'd thoroughly recommend if you just want action, which quite a lot of this is. So Girls und Panzer der Film is going to get an A. It is magnifique. This is probably the anime movie which I've rewatched the most times. So 2/3 of it is just pure action. The battle it literally starts with a battle right at the beginning, and then there's like a whole bit of like they get kicked out of school and they go on this journey to like regain their school, and they're fighting against like the education board to have their school reinstated and stuff. And then there's like this tank battle at the end, which is like the other third of the movie, which is some of the action is just amazing. Also, there's like a pretty tearful moment. I mean, obviously nobody dies in these films because, you know, it's cute girls doing hardcore stuff like driving tanks. But there's a pretty heartbreaking moment when three of the characters, or three of the tanks, sacrifice themselves for one of the commanders. I think about that all the time. It's just, I don't know why it just makes me like feel really sad or like have a lot of empathy for that, but it is what it is. The action is easily the best part about this, and some of the characters like grow and you sort of see aspects of some of the characters which you never see before because they're introduced so late in the series or whatever. You know what? I'll actually leave those out because I'll be here all day. So we're going to. So I would talk about Das Finale, but I'll wait for all 7 parts to come out and we'll do a different video. So My Hero Academia. So I've seen seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we're going to be rating them as thus. So season 1, F. Season 2, B. Season 3, B. Season 4, A. Season 5, A. So it doesn't really. So I'll talk about it generally because it's quite difficult to remember when certain things happen, other than like the first season. So the first season is literally just the protagonist Deku crying about, I want to be a hero, I don't have any powers, blah blah blah, and it's his introduction to like how heroes go through hero training and become fully fledged professional heroes. He starts off without a quirk, which is, you know, the superpowers, and it's about his journey to get that. And the most annoying thing is that he is just incredibly annoying, and there's hardly any action until like the last couple of episodes of this season. I wouldn't really say any characters are standout, and it has this really annoying habit, which lasts for the next 2 seasons, of it has to explain the whole premise of the universe of this series as if you haven't been watching the last, 50 episodes or whatever. It's just incredibly annoying. It's like, we live in a superhuman society. It's like, yes, I heard that every fucking episode. I don't need to know. It's just annoying, the first season. And then it gets better. It has obviously the tournament arc of, them, more about the characters that are introduced later and later on. Some of them are a lot more interesting. Like All Might is easily the best character in this series, without fail. And yeah, so to say it gets better and better. There's some absolutely insane fights in seasons 4 and 5. Or is it end of season 3? It might be the end of season 3. No. Yeah, so season 3 has an amazing ending. Season 4 does as well. And season 5 has amazing fights in that as well. So yeah, it's only got better and better. And then we'll go on to Nisekoi. So Nisekoi season 1 is going to get an S. And guess what I'm going to put season 2 in? Yes, that's right. I'm going to put it on the opposite end in F. So the whole premise of this is, it's a comedy, drama, slice of life, romance one. So the whole concept is the main character has to pretend to be in a relationship with the blonde girl, but he actually is interested in one of the other characters, the one with the brown hair, and it introduces all these love interests for him, and the whole premise is that he's got this locket on his chest, and one of the girls has a key to it, and he has to promise. So they made a promise with one of them like 10 years ago, and they're going to marry or be in a relationship with whichever one who has the picture in the locket, basically. But he can't remember who it is because, reasons. So it's absolutely fantastic. Like the ending of this season leaves everything perfect. I wouldn't even bothered with a season 2. Each of the girls gets their chance to be. Each of the characters and the girls are their own different people, and you sort of learn about them and what they're like and their relationship with the main character, whose name I literally cannot remember. It's funny. The animation style is over the top. It's just absolutely great. And then season 2, it basically throws out all of that. Well, it still has the concept, but it kind of puts it in the back burner. But it also focuses too much on one of the characters over the other love interests as well. It's supposed to be like a 3-way fight, and you would have thought they would have got equal chances to be on screen and them go through character development. So one of the main characters, Onodera, which is my favourite of the three main girls, as it were, she, despite being a main character and a major player in season 1, she doesn't get an episode dedicated to her until episode 9 of 10 of the second season. Instead, in this season, it introduces her sister as a love interest as well, who's just incredibly annoying, and she's one of the characters that I genuinely despise. She's just there to be a nuisance, and she just gets in the way of the actual plot. It forgets the whole premise of the series, and it just focuses too much on one of the girls, which you already know a lot about anyway, in favour of just adding pointless characters. And it's just, I hated every second of it, even though the animation style is amazing, but whatever. So we'll go on to Beyblade now. Yes, a series I generally forgot about. So this is also going to get an F. It's basically just promotion to sell toys to people. Spinning tops with magical powers. The animation style is absolutely rubbish, even though it came out in 2002, I think. I'm trying to think. Yeah, so it must have come out between 2002 and 2004, because I was still in primary school and just leaving. It's bad. It's really bad. Obviously I have fond memories of it, but I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. The characters do go through some decent development, but it's just, the whole concept is just dumb, and I can only remember Kai and Tyson as main characters, but you just think back to it, and everyone has really fat faces, not in a general anime kind of sense, but they just look incredibly odd. And the overarching plot of they basically enter tournaments with spinning tops of magic powers. It's just, I don't know. There's something about it that really just rubs me the wrong way thinking about it. And I have fond memories of it, but I wouldn't recommend it as I you know what I'm gonna do when I go home? I'm gonna watch Beyblade. Yeah, just wild. So, a bit of a weird situation here. I'll talk about Sailor Moon and Sailor Moon Crystal at the same time. I'm going to give them both a B. So, also this version of Sailor Moon I've watched as well as the one with the redone dub from 2000 and... It's early 2000s, I think. Instead of the early 90s one. So the dub is a lot better compared to the animation style, which I will forgive because it's, really old. And it's slightly jarring, but I don't actually hate it. I think I actually prefer this from watching the original dub, which I've seen, a couple of episodes when I was younger, and it's just kind of jarring. So the plot for both of them is kind of the same. Sailor Moon Crystal obviously has a lot more animation style, and the fights are better. but it kind of misses out on some of the magic, well, a lot of the magic from the original series. So you trade off one thing for another, which is fine. Like they have the same general plot, but it's not exactly the same, if that makes sense. So the original series as well, you notice a lot of things they do in it to save on costs. Like a lot of the episode would be wasted by all the characters transforming like one after another, and the music for it as well is it gets drilled into your head. It's just moon power, make up. And yeah, whenever they do a transformation as well, it repeats it, and the attacks are all the same. They're just like stock animations, which they do to save on money, so they can reuse it, save money, and then they also use up running time, so they don't really have to do much else or animate anything else. The fights are kind of lame, but also it's just comfy. It's a bunch of girls learning to have superpowers, and them I can't really remember what else. There's a lot of friction between the group on what they think is right, and the main character being a klutz is probably one of the better features about it, because usually the main character's like kind of I'm a justice seeking blah blah blah. But yeah, I really like the fact that any of the girls you would like want to be friends with if you were a girl, or well, even a bloke, I guess. They're all comfy. But yeah, I'm gonna give both a B, because they have their strengths and weaknesses. And yeah, I don't want to wibble on about it too much. So Pokemon now, quite apt that we're talking about this, because it's ended and they're going to be starting a new series with different protagonists, which I'm okay with. Ash had his time in the sun. He finally won the Pokemon Championship. I should mention this is the only one which I haven't watched every episode of, because it's like basically trying to watch Naruto at this point, starting from scratch. So you've either been with it from the beginning or whatever. But so yeah, I like the Pokemon series. I'm not gonna lie. It's really dumb in a way, and most of the episodes are the same, and you can get different messages from it, and especially from like characters like Team Rocket, that they never give up, even though they're doing like the wrong thing, but just never give up on what you're doing. But I also think Team Rocket are the most interesting characters in it, because they, as much as they're like supposed to be this sort of comedy goof evil, they do actually do the right thing a lot of the times, and they do actually have quite tragic backstories, especially James and Jesse as well. And I suppose they're not really bad people in a way. They're just like over the top evil, and they do stuff like they do actually do good stuff. Like the whole concept in Pokemon that you can get a Pokemon to join you by just talking to them is actually wild, and they're two of the trainers that actually managed to do that. And they do the good thing by releasing some of their Pokemon when they need to, like when they release Arbok and Ekans in like the first series. Was it second season? I can't remember. When they release Gen 2 Pokemon, when they get different ones there, they do the right thing and release them back into the wild. And there's tearful moments as well with like the main characters, like Ash releasing his Butterfree and letting Charizard go and stuff like that. Yeah, it's good. It has its moments of fun as well. Misty was a good character. I liked May as well. Brock was one of the characters I really liked. I wasn't a fan of Tracy. I could literally just list through all the characters and if I liked them or not. Some of them were hit and miss, but the overall theme was good. Although Ash never actually won the Pokemon Championship until the last season. But he never gave up, and it's just his journey of being a 10-year-old boy forever. And it ended satisfyingly, and it had good messages, but whatever. So Yu-Gi-Oh! As well, we're going to put in C. It's goofy, cards. They play cards and they summon monsters from it. And a lot of it is just like plot armor, as well as Ex Machina, or Deus Ex Machina. So basically, they'll just pull out a card, and if the plot requires them to win, it'll be a good card, and if not, it won't. Obviously, things go from bad to worse for a lot of it. Yeah, you think, oh, how are they going to get out of this? And they just come up with a card and just immediately win. The characters are incredibly goofy as well. My Valentine was my favourite character, because, well, look at her. just an absolute babe. But also she did really funny things, like she'd use her looks to like manipulate people. Especially when they go into Pegasus's Island in the first series or whatever. There's a bloke with like a room, like this pretty expensive room, and she's like, if you beat me in a duel, I'll give you a kiss, and if I beat you, I get your room. So obviously she beats him, but she also like cheats by putting perfume on her cards, so she knows which ones are which. It's good. It's good. But I wouldn't say it's amazing, but if you want just a goofy time, I'd watch that. So we talk about the 4 Persona movies now. So one of these I've watched twice, which is obviously Spring of Birth, which is the first one, which ends with them saving Fuka Yamagishi. And I'm going to give that a B. It's pretty comfortable. It's very, very abridged as well. Like, so in terms of playing the game, I'd say it's about, 18 to 20 hours until you get up to the point where you save Fuka. Actually, no, maybe a bit shorter than that. So maybe like 15 hours. But it manages to fit it into like a 2-hour movie, which is actually just wild. So obviously it goes from the beginning of the game to saving that, which is in May, I think it is. Yeah, so it's pretty wild. It covers like 2 or 3 months, and you just think, wow. Yeah, it's... I do like the differences from this and the game, and how they did change up quite a few things, and yeah, so I'm going to give it a B. Also, I've managed to skip out on talking about most of the theme songs as well. So the version of Burn My Dread in this is an absolute banger. Like, I'm not going to lie, it is just actually wild how good it is. I think about it all the time. Yeah. And then, so we have Midsummer Night's Dream, which is going to get an A. It ends with one of the characters dying. So, yeah, it's very much more abridged, but obviously characters go through a lot of development in this one, especially the ones they introduce. And I do like the changes to Ken and Shinjiro's relationship in this, where Ken looks up to him as like an older brother, whereas in the game they don't really interact. It would just be like Ken saying, "Oh, is Shinjiro actually strong?" And he's like suspicious of him right from the start. Whereas they changed it here, so he like looks up to him, and then he has the revelation that it's Shinjiro that killed his mum, and like that kind of betrayal. I really like that aspect. So yeah. Then we have Falling Down, which is going to be a B. So it ends with them all coming to the revelation that they're going to have to take on Nyx, and them finding reasons to fight each other. There's a lot of things that have changed in this as well. So like Yukari gets really depressed about like her life potentially ending, and her persona tries to kill her, which is pretty wild. And yeah, it's more about like the protagonist sort of learning to what it means to be alive, whereas in like the previous couple of movies he's quite apathetic, I want to say. He doesn't really have a reason for like being alive. He's just there because he's there. And I think Yukari says in one of the movies, it's like, do you actually do anything on your own? You just seem to, if people ask you to do something, you'll do it. So I do like his his character arc. And then Winter of Rebirth is basically just like the last month of the game, which I'm going to give a B. I don't think it was like that amazing. The last fight is actually wild though. And I hate how they went from everyone gets their ultimate persona from certain circumstances to, well, except for Junpei and the protagonist, to everyone literally gets it on the same day with basically no build-up or character growth to actually justify that change. It's just all done at once, which is really dumb. So yeah, didn't like that. Yeah, but it ends pretty much the same as the game, and I'm not a massive fan of that. So Persona 4, the animation, is going to get a C. I really don't remember much about it, but it's basically a 24 episode anime, which is an abridged version of the events of Persona 4. Obviously, if you play this and you've played if you watch this and you've played Persona 4 Golden, the endings are different. Obviously, it hasn't got, like, you don't fight Amano Sugi... No, what's her name? Izanami no Okami, whatever her name is. Yeah, they don't fight her. There's like a different anime which features that, which I'm not a massive fan of. They did like release a side anime which has like Marie and stuff in it, so you kind of watch it as like a complementary thing to this, which I think is kind of dumb. I really don't like the intro song to this either. And the best thing about this, the best change, is that they have the delivery girl from the Aya Diner. She's like the best thing about it, which is like the comedy thing in this. But I wasn't a massive fan of it, I'm not gonna lie. Then we have Himouto Umaru-chan. This is gonna get a B. It's very comfortable. It's very funny. It's about a high school girl that she's like the perfect student, but when she goes home, she puts on this hamster hoodie and she becomes like this little goblin that's like obsessed with playing video games, being a slob, eating junk food. And yeah, it's about the balance of her being this perfect student and being that slob, and she has to like try and hide the slobby side from her friends. It's just antics going on about that. It, like, the best thing about this is the jokes, or like the visual gags, which I thoroughly enjoy. The voice actress for Umaru is pretty amazing as well. She does the really good goblin voice, but she also so I watched Umaru-chan R as well, and she manages to do like the goblin voice, but also a British version of the goblin voice pretending to be Sherlock Holmes. It's just like absolutely fantastic voice actor, but like I really like that. So yeah, it's going to get a B from me. So the visual gags are easily the best thing about it. And yeah, so I suppose I talk about Umaru-chan R as well, which is pretty much the same. Although Umaru does go through a bit of character development in like the first couple of episodes, where I'm trying to think of a way of putting it. So because she's a perfect student, everyone approaches her and thinks, what, like, oh, Umaru, I want to be a friend, I want to do this and that. And she sort of goes through this revelation of like, I've never actually had to ask people to be my friend and stuff like that. And she's like, am I actually happy with this and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting, but then obviously a lot of the comedy's still that. I'd give this a B as well. I thoroughly enjoy it. It's one of my sort of favourite series. And every theme in it is a banger. The ending to Umaru-chan R is like, it just goes through my head all the time. The opening to season 1 is pretty fantastic as well. Yeah, just every song is a banger. Even the actual soundtrack of the anime is good. Like, I was thinking about that one that goes doot 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 doot, and that's probably very embarrassing, but you can't see me blushing. So One Punch Man, now that's going to get an S as well. Well, I say it as well, I mean, it's going to get an S. It is absolutely fantastic. The concept of it, of being this superhero that literally defeats anybody in one punch, and it sort of goes against the grain of every other superhero thing you've seen, that he's just so incredibly strong, but he's also bored by, he doesn't have a decent fight. And obviously it ends with the typical thing of he fights somebody who can't be defeated in one punch, and he finally gets his, you know, his fun, as it were, that he actually has like a challenge which he can't just, you know, immediately end in one punch. Yeah, the side characters are probably one of the stronger bits about this as well. Like Genos is absolutely amazing as a character. He wants to live up to, you know, Saitama as like being so incredibly strong, and they have a mock fight with each other, and that's pretty fantastic as well. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed season 1. Season 2 goes over to a different animation studio, so it's not as fluid, and the action isn't as good. I didn't think it was bad, but I don't think it was like as good as it should have been. No, it wasn't as good as it should. Yeah, it wasn't as good as it should have been. I'm literally just stumbling over all my words. So I'm going to give this season a B. A lot of things in it as well rub me the wrong way. So one of the main villains is basically somebody who goes around and beats up heroes because, well, he's basically like Saitama in a way that he's looking for a decent fight, but also he's only siding with the villains because when he watched anime as a kid, the villains always lost, and he wanted somebody to stick up for them because the fucker doesn't understand the concept of, like, you have villains that obviously do bad ideas and do evil things because that's the whole point. he doesn't sort of understand that concept. It's like they're only written to lose, and sometimes you can be sympathetic to villains if they have a decent motive, but you know, when you're a kid and the kind of animes you watch then, they don't have decent motivations because, you know, they're literally written just be evil and be beaten up. So he kind of didn't get that concept. And he is also an incredibly annoying character. He goes on about, like, who's going to stick up for the villains? Like, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I really didn't enjoy it as much. And yeah, I do like the idea of King as well. He's like this fraud superhero that he's basically wherever Saitama is, and he gets all the credit for defeating people in one punch, and he sort of has to hide that. And I really did like that concept, but yeah, it's going to get a B for the animation and just, you know, annoying villains, I guess. Yeah. So I suppose we'll talk about Railgun now, you know, a certain scientific railgun. So I've seen, this is one of the ones I haven't actually finished. So I've seen season 1, season 2, which is Railgun S, and then I've seen a majority of Railgun T. So I'm going to rate them as B, A, and B. So Railgun 1 is about a group of girls which, well, 2 of them have superpowers called Esper abilities, and they live in this city which contains a lot of people with these powers. And it's kind of hard to explain in a way, but they basically live in a superhuman society, to quote My Hero Academia. And so it's about a group of girls, you know, Misaka, Rukiko Saturn, Uiharu, and Kuroko Shirai. And basically they get caught up in all these like mysteries to begin with, like, you know, people doing petty things, like, one of them is like this girl that can turn invisible and she like draws on eyebrows of people and they're trying to figure out what's happening there. But also the opening episode, that all the characters get introduced to each other, and Misaka being Railgun, the character called Railgun, who has electricity powers, she does the most over-the-top thing to stop a bunch of criminals. She flicks a coin in the air and uses her electricity powers to propel it forward to make the Railgun attack. And she just like obliterates everything on this street. It's pretty wild. So yeah, and the whole concept as well is like these people with superpowers have them in terms of levels. So Misaka's a level 5, so she's one of the strongest ones, and then Kuroko Shirai is a level 4, so she obviously not on the same tier, but she still has a good power of like teleportation. But it introduces this concept of a thing called a level upper, which is actually a running theme through the first couple of episodes, which I didn't really notice the first time around. I was just kind of watching and being like, that's weird. But it's all linked to like the first half of this series. And so level upper increases the power level of people with a bit Esper abilities to the rank higher. So if they don't have any powers, they suddenly like gain some, because everyone has like a latent ability that they just can't control in a way, but then they also like gain them by using this like level upper thing. And it's like finding out about that, and this woman trying to save these people in comas as well by using the level upper and like making this network of mines and stuff. It's pretty wild. The action is absolutely great as well. Kuroko Shirai is probably one of my favourites because of the teleportation thing. The whole concept of she has like these metal pins and she just like teleports them into people. It's pretty wild. So Railgun S is like this whole concept of Misaka having all these clones and she has to go out and save them because they're being used for an experiment to make one of the most powerful Espers into a even more powerful one. And yeah, it's more about Misaka's solo journey into doing that and her gradually learning to rely on her friends for help, and she shouldn't like struggle with these things alone. Obviously she can't mention she has clones, but it's just her getting wrapped up in stuff like that, and it's more about her like solo journey into discovering like this mystery and conspiracy, which I thoroughly enjoy. And then Railgun T is very much the same, well, without so much of the cloning stuff, but it's also about I'm trying to think of a way of putting this. So it involves a couple of her clones and like these people trying to like do experiments and stuff. It very much continues on from the second season, and a lot more characters in this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put it into an A instead. So a lot of the side characters, like my favourite one is Mitsuko Kongo. She is a larger part in this series as well. And there's a character that's introduced at the end of S, which is a major part as well, that can like control minds and stuff. And yeah, it's just absolutely fantastic. It's more of a Misaka solo journey as well, but then also the side characters do pretty fantastic things. There's also a really stupid concept with Misaka's love interest, which this is like the worst bit about this series, is that Tomakami, like, they're like 13 or whatever. None of them look 13. Actually, we'll get onto that in a second. But they have like, you know what? Every time Toma comes on screen, I visually like recoil and cringe. It's just annoying. And also he gains this like really ridiculous, like he's, actually I'll talk about that when I talk about Index, but whatever. That's one of the like downfalls, that he's actually involved in this series as well. It's just annoying. So what else was I going to talk about? I literally cannot remember. I said, I'll talk about that later. Yeah, we'll think about it. Whatever. So then we'll go on to the parallel series, which is A Certain Magical Index. And so I've seen seasons 1 and 2. So season 1, is going to get a B, and then season 2 is going to get an F. So it follows the character Toma Kamijo from the Railgun series. I think this series is actually the first one, but it's got like more magic and sorcery involved in it. There's like this whole group of people that have like sorcerer powers instead of Esper powers as superpowers, whatever. They can like perform magic without actually needing to be an Esper, basically. But the whole concept is like this main character Toma, he's got a right hand, which he's a level 0 Esper, but simultaneously he's not, because he has the power to negate anybody else's abilities by just touching them with his right hand. And the first season's pretty good, because he's basically like a guy that doesn't want to really do much, and then he becomes somebody who just wants to save people and do the right thing. And it's quite good, and he protects this girl called Index, which is got like all these magic books inside her head, and there's like these people trying to hunt her down for because they want that knowledge. They're basically going to kill her and get the knowledge from her. It's about him trying to protect her. The side plots are really good. The characters that don't appear in Railgun are pretty fantastic as well. And yeah, the fights are fantastic. So season 2 as well. I'm not saying this isn't prevalent in season 1, but it's a lot more like egregious in this season. Toma is simultaneously the most useless character, because he's basically just a normal human with, you know, a special hand. But also they make him the most ridiculously strong character. He can withstand any attack, basically. It's really inconsistent whether or not his hand works or not. Well, so it's whether or not his hand works. No, sorry, his right hand works at all times at negating powers, but then also like some of the rest of his body does it as well. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't particularly like him being in Railgun T, because he gets an arm cut off. That right arm gets cut off, and then he just gains superpowers even though he hasn't actually got any. It's just really dumb. And yeah, he's also there to just try and save everybody, and it actually just gets a bit annoying that he just wants everyone to be friends. Like, you can't save the world because you've got to be friends. It becomes so fucking infuriating. I can't even get over it. It's just yeah. Toma as a character is all right to begin with, and then he just becomes so incredibly annoying that, like, I'd rather never watch this series again than think about it. But whatever. So Sound Euphonium, this is another Kyoto animation. It's about a band that is that are basically failures, and they want to enter a regional competition to become like a good orchestra for, well, trying to win a championship. So it follows the main character, whose name I can't remember because, reasons basically. But she transfers to a new school, and she tries to get like a new shot at it after her last school failed. And they really get put through the ringer by this new like composer and conductor, I want to say. And it's about basically cute girls doing cute things and them learning to be in a band, and them going through this whole arc of like learning to get on as a group of people. And what else do you want to say? It's kind of weird. It's weird trying to explain it, because you don't really think a lot happens, and a lot of it doesn't, but he's sort of compelled. It's just, you know, slice of life, but I enjoy it, but I wouldn't really say it's that bad. The ending theme as well is just like the most ridiculous thing I've heard. It's got like syncopated jazz drums and stuff. It's got like, it's almost like blast beats in a way. And I'm explaining this very badly for somebody who did A-level music. It's pretty good. The ending theme is an absolute banger by like some quartet, which yeah, pretty good. So, Ambition of Oda Nobuna now. So this is one of the first anime I sort of got into after, like, basically not watching it since I was a kid. I'm going to give it a C. It's basically gender-bent versions of, you know, Samurai Warriors characters, or, you know, Ambition of Nobunaga, Oda, and, well, basically all the characters that are there, all the main warlords, like, you know, Katsuie, Toshiie, and all that are all gender-bent. Excuse me. All characters like that are all gender bent, other than, you know, Hideyoshi, which the main character is. He's still a man. Obviously, Oda Nobuna is a woman in this. Well, Nobunaga is now Nobuna, and it's kind of like an alternate history of that, where they prevent a load of stuff. Like, the main character plays Ambition of Nobunaga, and he sort of knows what's going to happen in terms of like the battles that are going to appear. So he tries to rewrite history by not having Nobuna killed at Hanoji. Also tries to, like, he saves Yoshimoto Imagawa as well by not having her killed at Okihazuma. And yeah, basically it's just a light-hearted version of that in a way, where most of the girls are like pretty much eye candy. And he tries to like repair the relationships with some of the characters so Nobuna doesn't get betrayed. And yeah, it's pretty wild. Now thinking back to it, Nobuna sounds incredibly familiar, but I can't pinpoint the character which she actually voices. I will literally look up about it later. Earlier. Yeah, I'm going to go back in time, literally like this guy does. Also, one thing I really dislike is that all the girls fall in love with the main character. It's just cringe. It's just annoying that everyone's like trying to go after him. It's like, what, have you not seen like somebody your same age there, and that's why you'll fall for him? I just thought that was so bloody cringe. Yeah, I just hated it. Hated that sense of it. But I mean, it's quite comfy, and yeah, it's pretty fun. So talk about Sengoku Basara now. So season 1 is going to get a B. The animation style is incredibly weird in some bits, but it's also really good. The fights are pretty fantastic. So obviously it's based on the Sengoku Basara games, which I'm not actually sure which came first. So it's, you know, another Samurai Warriors or Sengoku Jidai era thing. The characters are way over the top, especially Masamune and Yukimura. Yukimura doing the fight with Tadagatsu is probably like the highlight of this series. And it's about Nobunaga getting, you know, resurrected, and him basically going to destroy the world. And there's a ridiculous fight at the end with between him, Yukimura, and Masamune. There's also Tadagatsu in that fight, but that sort of goes downhill. I wouldn't really say there's that much character development. You're mainly here for the fights and like the vague sense of a plot, I guess. But I wouldn't say it's like bad. I would say it's better than what it should be. And yeah, so it is what it is. Now going to Judge End, I think that's the one anyway, which I've watched. It's based on the Sengoku Basara 3 anime, and I'm going to give this a C. It's kind of goofy. Like, it just basically, if you've played Sengoku Basara Samurai Heroes, you get this same sort of plot of, you know, it's going to end with Sekigahara, Yukimura joins Mitsunari, Masamune joins Ieyasu, and they basically have a big old who and a ha there. And I wouldn't really say there's that much character development, and the ending's really stupid. It's like everyone fights so everyone fights to like stop this conflict, and it's a lot about, well, actually the best thing about it is Masamune's bit of humbling at the beginning. He thinks he's like kind of invincible, and then he gets his ass handed to him by Mitsunari, and he goes on that journey to basically just get revenge. But the ending, everyone's like kind of friends, but they also do a mock version of Sekigahara. It's kind of dumb, really. I wasn't a massive fan of it, but it's just, yeah. And I don't think the animation style is improved in quality from what it ever should be. So It's, yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of dumb. What are we talking about now? Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. So, I haven't watched all of season 2, so I won't bother talking about it. Because actually, no, I will talk about it because I've seen a majority of it. So, season 1 is going to get an A, and I'd also give season 2 an A as well. It's very comfy. It's another one which is cute girls doing cute things, but it's also about the dragon Toru, the dragon maid, sort of learning to live in human society and doing cute things. But I think the real standout for it is the younger dragon, Kana Kamui, she's a young dragon, so she takes the appearance of a child, but she goes to school and she learns to be human that way. I think that's like the standout thing, and it's about her relationship with Kobayashi of becoming like this sort of mum as well, and her learning to not be like so lazy and actually do stuff and learn to like enjoy life instead of just being a slob at home on the weekends and actually doing stuff. It's quite fun, but it's also got this like overarching plot of dragons sort of living, I don't want to say, so like dragons have this conflict. They all like belong to factions like Chaos Dragons. I can't remember what they actually call the good ones, but whatever. So the ending of season 1 is absolutely fantastic as well. Like, it's like Toru going against her dad because she enjoys being human, and her dad's like, you do realise Kobayashi won't live forever, and you gotta like accept that. You can't get too attached. But she sort of learns to live with the consequences of that, and I do appreciate the ending of that, and how you learn to live with stuff that's not always going to go your own way, and I like that. And then season 2 is a lot of the same, especially with like Kana and her. Well, is her name Saikawa? That is like the one thing I didn't particularly like is Saikawa. She's just incredibly annoying and clingy about Kana, which she's like basically she's in love with. She's a lesbian basically. She's in love with like Kana, but it just gets a bit annoying. It is used for decent comic relief, but it's just like every fight. That's her whole character. It just gets a bit annoying, but it's more cute girls doing cute things. It's obviously got stuff like Fafnir doing stuff with his like comic books and all stuff like that, which I did think is like incredibly funny. He like tries to write this spell almanac thing, and he goes to this gaming convention to sell it, and it's basically just like nobody wants to buy it. It's really funny, really funny. I'm actually doing quite good for time. I've only been going like over an hour, and last time this was 2 hours, so I've managed to condense things quite well. Whatever. So yeah, season 2 is also going to get an A. It's very good. It's more of the same. Konosuba. Or Konosuba, is that how you pronounce it? Like, I've got a bit of a sore throat. I don't know if you heard me, like, my sinuses and all that playing up. But, I think that's how you pronounce it. So season 1 is going to get an S. It is, like, ridiculously funny. It's about a guy that gets killed, and then he gets teleported. So he's in, like, this kind of purgatory with Aqua, one of the main characters. And she like oversees people and like what they want to do with their life, if they want to go to heaven or hell, or if they want like another chance at life. And so like the other chance of life is like basically being put into a video game, and they get to take one item with them to help them on their journey. And if they overcome the demon, is it the Demon King? If they overcome that, he'll basically be alive again. So the item he chooses to take with him is Aqua, as his one item, so she gets absolutely mugged off by him. So it's about their journey into like this world, and them trying to sort of live in this RPG and trying to get on through daily life. And then they gain two more members. Each of the characters are absolutely amazing. Like Kazuma Sato is the main character, and he's just like a pervert basically, but he's also pretty useless. And then you have Aqua, who's like the healer, but she gets worshipped as a god because she technically is one, but she also has like healing powers. Everyone says she's useless, but she's really good at reviving people. And yeah, I suppose she's a bit up herself. She really likes She really likes being praised for like the dumbest things, so it's really good. And then you have Megumine, who's an incredibly powerful wizard, but she only uses one spell, which is Explosion, which she can only use once per day because it wipes her out. And it's it's so disgustingly strong that it's just funny. And then you have Darkness, which is probably my favourite of the characters, who's a tanky paladin sort of type character, but she's also a Princess Lolatina. But she's just like a masochist. Is that the word? I can't. You know what? I always get confused with those words. So she's like really into like BDSM and stuff, and when enemies hit her, she basically like screams to the point of orgasm. It's so good. Yeah, I just think about that all the time, and it's just She also, despite being like the strongest physically, she can't hit like a barn door with a machine gun. She swings her sword and they'll be like right in front of them and she'll miss. So you got that comedy aspect of it as well, which is it's just absolutely fantastic. Them getting into dumb situations of like, so they practice the explosion spell on this guy's cast. Is it? I can't remember if that's season 1 or 2. I think it's in season 1, where they basically just keep practicing the explosion spell on this guy's castle, and eventually the guy gets like really pissed off that they keep using the explosion spell on it. So he goes to the town that they're all in, and he like starts a war. It's really funny. It's really good. So season 2, I'm gonna give a B because for starters, I don't think it was as good. Mainly because at the end they go to this town and everyone worships everyone's got this cult mentality, and there's like a joke that who's it? I think Darkness is like part of this different cult or whatever. So she carries like this talisman around, and all the people of this cult go around, keep trying to like recruit them, and every time they show them this talisman, they like back off and they're like, "Oh, you're disgusting," or whatever. They do that joke so many times. I thought I was watching an episode of Family Guy, and that's like the worst kind of humour. Like, you know, repeating the same thing over and over again, but with no like cumulative effect. Is that the word? I'm not very good at pronouncing stuff. So like, there's a comedian in this country called Stuart Lee, but there's like, he does all these jokes. So one of his routines from ages ago, he goes on about this comedy guy called Tom O'Connor, and he says, so he's doing this Tom O'Connor guy was doing this routine on a cruise, and the bloke, he says, Tom O'Connor came out and he said to a man in the audience, "What do you do for a living?" And the man said, I work in Shell for finance or whatever, like one of these oil companies. And then Tom O'Connor said, "Are you a sardine?" And then he goes, "Oh no, that's not how the joke went." He comes out and he says to the man in the audience, "What do you do for a living?" And the man says, "I'm in oil." And Tom O'Connor said, "Are you a sardine?" But basically he repeats that joke and he adds bits to it, so it has like this extra effect of it being funnier and funnier each time. And like the delivery and the pacing is all things. So you can do like repetition like that. And I'm going on a massive tangent here, but in this, it's literally just the same joke over and over again with no like bet. It hasn't got anything added to it to make it funnier each time. And I've done a really poor job of explaining it, but you know, doing comedy and jokes isn't my thing as much as people say I have been funny before. So yeah, I just think that got kind of annoying, and the first couple of episodes are basically the same as the ones that are in season 1, which I didn't particularly enjoy. It's like they literally just go and fight the toad things again, which is kind of dumb. And also there's I don't know why they do it, but it made me uncomfortable. It's like there's this implied bit where Darkness gets taken back by her father to go and do something, to like be in an arranged marriage, as like to get the main cast of characters released from like prison, or so they're not going to be executed. So she does that, but then it's also implied that she's been like sexually assaulted, which made me like feel really uncomfortable. I mean, the whole point is like she's a masochist and she would probably enjoy it, but that's not really the point. I didn't feel comfortable, but then it just turns out they're trying to get her into a corset, but which is revealed a couple of episodes later that they're actually doing that. But it just, I don't know, for me, I just felt so uncomfortable. I've been talking about that way too long, and this video is now going on a lot longer than I wanted. So we'll talk about Soul Eater now. This is going to get an F. So it's 53 episodes, and the character development is really good, and there's a lot to like about it. The animation style quality is pretty bad, I would say. I don't think I particularly... Looking back on it, lots of it is ugly, but it has fluidity in some of the animations, and the characters are quite good, especially, Death the Kid. He's all about symmetry and his two guns and stuff, and he won't attack something if it's not symmetrical, and if he can't get the attack done at once, and all stuff like that, which is really funny. So, it has its moments, but there's a lot I don't like about it, and I did like Medusa as a villain. She's actually fantastic. She's one of the best things about it, but Marco Alburn and the ending are incredibly bad. And what's his name? The guy with the blue hair, the ninja guy. You would have thought. So he has really good comedy moments, and you know what? I would have actually preferred it if he was killed near the end, because he loses to this guy so many times, and he just comes up with this technique at the end to finally beat him. And it's just this is just absolute nonsense. You didn't have the right to actually win that fight because you just thought of it on just there. It's just so stupid. I just fucking hated it. And the ending as well. Go through 53 episodes of character development for Maka Alburn, and lots more characters like Corona going to the good guy's side, and Soul as well. And the last villain is so disgustingly strong that nobody can beat them. Not even the three main characters and their weapons. Well, the three main characters and their 4 weapon characters as well can't beat this character. But Maka Alburn manages to beat him because she's brave, and that is literally how it ends. She literally just punches the bad guy to death because she's brave. It just ends so stupidly. I think I'm putting it in F because I just regret watching it. I kind of had a good time, but just I would literally just stop 2 episodes from the end and just pretend it never happened. It's just think of your own ending, or just read the manga. The manga's actually got a different ending. It's quite good. It involves the moon blowing up and stuff. So Cells at Work. So this is going to get a B. It's quite fantastic. It's Ozzy and Drix but weeb version. It follows a red blood cell and all different functions of the body. That's the best way I can describe it, really. But it's got all antics like that. It's literally just Ozzy and Drix, or Osmosis Jones, but anime version. It's I thoroughly enjoyed the way they do it, and it hasn't got. There's also a different version of this, which is a more mature version. It goes through smoking and stuff, but here it's just. I'm trying to think what actually happens. I think one of them, they get what happens? They get a cut, and it's all germs invading the body and stuff like that. And it's the platelets are the best characters because they're these little kids that go around to and they're basically construction workers but kids. Yeah, it's good. Actually, no, the food poisoning one, the episode's pretty good as well. So yeah, there's a lot to like about this series, but. Yeah, if you just want something sort of lighthearted and you sort of want to know some stuff about biology, I'd recommend this one. Excuse me. So then we'll talk about Love, Chunibyo, and Other Delusions. So, Season 1, I'm going to give this an A. It's good. It's about Chunibyo is an actual thing, I found out. So, I literally just thought it was something that was not excuse me. So I thought Chunibyo was a thing that was literally just made up for this series, but apparently it actually is. But in terms of real world stuff, it's morality and what's right and wrong, and some people don't really get through that. There's different levels of morality in which so when you reach a certain age say you're playing in a sports team, so a level 2 morality, I think, from what I remember, is you'll work as a team to score points, and the overall point is that you as a team work together to win. Whereas a level 1 morality is literally just about yourself, and if you're a kid and you're in part of a sports team, you are literally there for yourself to gain points, and you haven't won unless you've scored. It's kind of that thing, but I'm getting a bit ahead of ourselves. So it's about a girl called Rika Takanashi, and she has like this delusion where she's a servant of a thing called the Dark Lord, and she lives in like this fantasy land where she basically acts like a complete nutter in front of people, and she wears an eye patch and she has contact lenses. She's got like eyes of different colours, and she creates all these gadgets to like combat demons and stuff. And she thinks her sister is like she's called the priestess, and she's like works for the bad guys basically, and she's like at constant odds of her. But you find out later on in the series that a lot of kids do this because it's just a phase they go through. But for Rika, and she's in high school, she uses it as a method to deal with like past trauma and like her parents dying and stuff like that. And it's quite tragic in a way, but then they also they try to like get her to snap out of it, and she becomes like more normal, but then that's not actually the way she enjoys living, and it's not the way other people see her being, and they just want her to be happy in the end. And I really enjoyed it. It's good. My favourite character is obviously, well, I don't really know which is my favourite character. So there's another character that's like really into it called Sanai Dekamori, who's pretty fantastic. Who's like really into it. She carries like these weights on her, what do you call it? Twin tails, and she uses them as like weapons, as like flails, which is pretty funny. But then one of my other favourite characters is called Shinka Nibutani, who used to be really into it, and then she comes out of it. But she wrote this book as a character called Mori Summer, and everyone that's really into this Chunibyo thing like worships this Mori Summer in this book. And this is about Nibutani's efforts to like try and get rid of her past because it's like so embarrassing. And yeah, I really enjoy it. The characters are comfy, and yeah. So Chunibyo Heartthrob, which is the second season, I'm going to give a B. I don't think it's as strong, and it introduces another character that's really into the Chunibyo thing, who's a love interest of the main guy called Yuta, and she just kind of turns up to be annoying. It's more of the same, but I don't think it has a strong like a stronger overarching plot as like the first season, if you know what I mean. So it's about her, this girl like learning to deal with that Rika is in love with Yuta, and her having to, her being in love with him as well, but her like learning to live with like coping with that. Yeah, I don't think it's as strong, and I don't think the episodes are as good, but I wouldn't say it was bad. It's fun. It's fun. If you enjoyed the first series, you'll probably enjoy this, but I wouldn't expect anything as like emotionally damaging as like learning about why Rika does this, or any of the other characters doing that for all it matters. But the action sequences are pretty good when they do those, you know, fake battles, and then it cuts to real life and they're just like swinging around, I can't remember what you want to call them, ladles, that's the thing. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah, then we'll talk about the Berserk movies as well. So shall we? Yeah, so there's like 3 Berserk movies which are used in the game made by Koei Tecmo. They're all going to get a B. They're all pretty good. The actions are pretty amazing. Obviously, it doesn't cover the full story of Berserk because it's been like rebooted so many times, and it's kind of depressing in a way as well. I think the creator of it died, so I think it's wrapping up. Or am I thinking of something else? But it goes through all the main plots of like the manga and the general series. The action it's like the most well animated of the series because, you know, the reboot was just god awful. And obviously it ends on like cliffhangers and stuff because they never actually finished it. So I don't really know what else to say. The characters are compelling. You know, Griffith is pretty mental. Like him and Guts like fighting each other, and then he eventually joins the Band of the Hawk, and they go out and do missions and stuff. And then then when Guts leaves, and he just becomes like this broken man, and then the whole thing leading up to the eclipse. And yeah, it's just absolutely fantastic. Like him becoming femto is pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm all gonna give them all a B. I wouldn't really say any of the movies are stronger than the others because it's been so long since I've watched them. But yeah, so SSSS.Gridman. People really like this series for some reason because one of the main characters called Rika. What is her name? I can't remember. She's like pretty thick. She's got huge ass, and the characters are really nice to look at in this series as well. But I'm going to give it an F. I hated it. So the intro song is bad. Let's just put that way. Each episode tries to fit way too much in the short run time. It's the action's really good. It tries to fit in like a whole load of exposition in each episode, but also tries to carry on like this overarching plot, but it also has to fit in a fight in each thing. It asks a load of questions which never get answered. The actual ending so the villain doesn't really have a reason to do anything either. She's just like manipulated by like this own creation of hers. She's also just incredibly annoying. She's a really nice character to look at though. But so yeah, it asks a load of questions which it never bothers to answer, and any of the questions it does answer is just like incredibly dumb. Tries to fit a fight into every episode, which wasn't really necessary. This series really needed to be a bit longer, I want to say. What else? Yeah, I could literally rail on about this series for fucking years. I was not a fan of just how like cramped everything was and how like it didn't explain things particularly well. It glosses over a whole load of plot points. There's like a load of plot holes which I was gonna like just do a ranty video on this absolutely ages ago because I really don't like it. But the action scenes and the actual fights are really good. I should mention that. And the ending theme is an absolute banger as well. Youthful Beautiful by Mia. No, what's her name? Mayon, I think, is that her name? The ending theme is like the only good thing about this, and the animation style quality is actually really good as well. I think it's another Studio Trigger one. But yeah, apparently there's like another Gridman universe series which I might watch, but I'm not exactly, massively into it. So whatever. Then we could talk about New Game. I watched this actually in parallel with Gridman, so I think that's probably where some of my dislike for Gridman came from. So New Game is about cute girls doing cute things, but this time they're game developers, and yeah, that's basically the whole plot of it. They get into funny situations, and you sort of learn stuff about game design which you probably wouldn't have if you've never seen like a documentary or bonus footage on game discs or had any general concept of how like working in an office works. It's fun. The characters are quite good. Ko Yagami is probably my favourite. The kind of slobby art designer who sleeps in just her panties in the office. She's my favourite character because she's quite funny. And I don't know what else to really say. It's just comfy. That's it. It's just comfy. So it's definitely going to get a B. There is a season 2, but I haven't watched that yet. Then we have Nichijou. Is it My Ordinary Life is the subtitle? But whatever. This is going to get an A. I would thoroughly recommend this if you like comedy. Like 90% of what happens in this are just visual gags. And while the episodes do have vague general themes, and there is like an overarching plot of like this professor creating a robot, and they like live together. And then the robot eventually goes to school and they meet up with the other set of like main characters. A lot of it is just like standalone sort of jokes. And it just fucking makes me laugh. It's so good. Like, especially the episode where, what's her name? Mio, the blue-haired girl. She's really into drawing like boys love cartoons. And a policeman stops her. And and the policeman's like, can I check your bags? Because we've heard about people having fake money here, so we need to check it's not you. And she's like refuses, and then there's this whole incident where all the papers go everywhere, and she has to like basically fight everybody to get them back. And one of the characters that gets the piece of paper is a goat, and she just does like this weird spinning like suplex thing on him. It's so funny. Yeah, I think about it all the time. Some of it is slow, like you don't really know where the gags are going to go, and then it just ends up with. And I think some of the jokes do fall a bit flat, but it is quite good. And people say you know what? I have actually watched this in Japanese and in English, and I don't actually mind the English version. The English version is actually quite good. I don't think some of the jokes hit as hard, but they're good. They do have to change some of the context for it as well, but it's quite good. So Saga of Tanya the Evil is gonna get a B, I want to say. The action is quite good. So it's about a 42-year-old businessman. He gets killed and he gets reincarnated by Being X, which is it's a god, but he calls him Being X because he's like an atheist and he doesn't actually believe like gods do any good work. But he gets reincarnated as this girl in like an alternate timeline of World War II. And they're on so basically they fight on the side of the Germans, but the Germans are actually the good guys because they're the ones being invaded. So yeah, so you're on that side, and he uses, well, he or she, because they're reincarnated as a girl, uses all their knowledge to like rise up the ranks and like reach the pinnacle of like reach like the very top and be the best they can. So use all that effort and learning stuff about what previous conflicts and what's going to work, and they just become like this sort of sadistic psychopath and like a mass murderer in a way to like stop war. It's pretty fantastic. Well, I wouldn't say it's pretty fantastic, but the action's pretty good. Obviously Tanya as the main villain, she's just like not a good person, which is quite interesting. You're following sort of like this sort of villainous person, but then also the people, you kind of feel sorry for them because they're in the nation that's being attacked by everybody else, but then also the supposed good guys who the the invaders, they don't really have like a motivation to do it. They're just like kind of good people that are forced into war. There's also a load of like plot holes where there's a bit where there's a gunshot that goes off and you would have thought somebody would be killed, and that basically becomes nothing of it. I watched this so long ago that I've forgotten most of it, so just going to give it a B. How heavy are the dumbbells you lift? Guess where this is going to go? This is going to go in S. It's got so many good jokes. It's good for if you actually want to like learn to lose weight, which it's a bit of a weird concept for an anime, and I just love it. It gives good health advice. The animation style quality is good. The characters are funny. There's one thing I did actually see the other day is there is a Genshin Impact piss take of the opening of this. The opening theme is an absolute banger, which is Onagai Muscle, which is like, what is it, Muscles Please or something. I think it translates to. Probably wrong, but whatever. So it's got a Genshin Impact piss take of where it changes a whole bunch of characters in the opening to Genshin Impact characters. So like Gina Boyd, the Russian girl, is now what are they called? Lumin. Dia is the main character. Candace is Ayaka, and Frozan is Ayame. Is that her name? But whatever. Each of the characters like have their own things and what they enjoy doing. So like one of the characters is like a boxer. The main character, which I can't remember her name, she's just like basically wants to lose weight, and she actually like really gets into it. It's good exercise regimens and stuff in it as well. The comedy hits the right notes when it should. Gina Boyd as a character is really funny, like the Russian girl. She's she's one of the best bits. But then it also has like stuff with like this teacher being a cosplayer and stuff. It's got like these weird overarching plots. I thoroughly enjoy it. It's just, I think about this series like all the time. So yeah, it's one of the ones I've just rewatched because the opening theme is just like such a banger. So whatever. Zombieland Saga now, which will go and put in B. It's comfy. I really like the animation style in this one as well. It's about like these girls that are like reanimated to become idols, and they're all zombies, but then they also have to keep up the appearance of being like real humans, otherwise people would be scared. It hasn't got it in the first season, but they don't really say like the whole reason for doing it. They just want an idol group, and they just so happen to be made up of people that died. So one of them's like a courtesan from like the 1600s or whatever, One of them doesn't. You don't actually know much about her because she's like a reanimation. She still has like the zombie-like state, whereas everyone else acts like kind of normal people. The songs in it as well are like absolute bangers. Like Awaken Returner, I think I listened to that song like quite a lot. And what's the other one? I'll think of it in a minute. The songs are good. The English dub's actually quite fantastic as well, because they do the songs in English, including the intro, which is something necromancy, which actually took me by surprise that all the songs are in English when they never usually do that. It's just like K-On! Has an English dub, but all the songs... that's actually one of the things that winds me up about K-On! The K-On! All the songs are in Japanese, even if you have the English dub, but if you've got any physical copy of K-On!, it has the songs on the disc as like a bonus. It's got like a music video. That will be in English. It's pretty weird. So yeah, like Fua Fua time in English is like just makes my head explode. Yeah, it's pretty weird. So Zombieland Saga, I'm gonna give a B. It's got good comedy moments in it as well. The characters go through decent development and like them having regrets. One of the main characters like used to be in another idol group, and then she dies, and she obviously gets resurrected, and she sort of wants to go back to that sort of life and seeing how her last group, Iron Frill, as they're called, how they're getting on, and she kind of misses that and resents them a bit for it. But then she has to like learn to live as being an idol in a different sort of capacity. Obviously, there is a plot hole of like, if somebody was famous before and they get resurrected and you see them like on TV or whatever, wouldn't you think that's a bit weird that somebody who looks like somebody you know who died has suddenly been resurrected? It just, I don't know, that just really doesn't sit right with me in a way. But I'm literally just wibbling on. So Azur Lane now, the animation, for some reason this just has a load of nudity in it for no reason. Not that I'm complaining, but it just seems really out of place. Like, it's ship girls. Well, girls that are ships is basically the same concept as like Can Cole or whatever you want to call it. And they battle as like World War II aircraft carriers and destroyers and all ships like that. And yeah, it's just weird. I can't really describe it other than that it's just fucking mental. One of the things, so obviously there's like Allied forces, which are all American. This is kind of one of the things that winds me up. So there's like Germans and Japanese on one side, which is obviously the Axis forces, and then there's like USA and Britain on the other side. So the USA ships all have American accents. The British ships all have British accents. The German ships have German accents, but the Japanese ships all have American accents. It's pretty jarring. I do like the fact they did do that with so you can find out stuff about characters. As like a group of young ships, as we'll call them, or girls, and they form like their own group and they fight this enemy, and they like want to become friends with her because I don't know, nobody exactly wants to fight. And Javelin, isn't it? I think that's that one. I'm really struggling to describe this now. My head's going like a million miles an hour for no fucking reason. So it's you can have fun with it, but there's also like this overarching plot of their best one, the Enterprise, being like this super powerful ship, and like her reason for fighting, and I can't really remember what happens with it, but it's just like she sort of like loses a reason to fight, but she just kind of does it because she's powerful. She doesn't actually have a reason to do it. And there's this overarching plot of like them trying to create the Orochi ship, like the bad guys, and try and destroy the world by that. And eventually everyone teams up, like Prinz Engren, I think her name is. She has a pretty good fight scene when they all team up. So some of the fight scenes are good, but then some of it's just like really dumb. So I'm going to give it a C. I wouldn't say it's average, but I wouldn't say it's like bad. And is there any I'm missing? So I think there's one left, which I've put on this list. So No Game, No Life is going to get an A. It is pretty fantastic. The animation style quality is very jarring. Everything's like this weird sort of purpley, orangey colour as well, which is kind of off-putting. And so the colours are all pretty strange. I can't say I dislike... Excuse me. I can't say I dislike the animation style, but it's just very sort of jarring in a way. And I thoroughly enjoy it. Where it's like these two like otakus, brother and sister, that play games and they're so like incredibly good at it that they then get forced into like this other world where they have to play games for like this nation, and they eventually become like the rulers of it, and they sort of wage war on the other nations to sort of take over everything as like this bit of a competition against this god. And yeah, it's pretty good. There's a really good episode where one of them forgets the existence of the other, like the siblings, and they have to like figure it out together. They have to figure it out on their own because like they come as a pair, so obviously they're really good at sorting stuff out together. There's also an episode where they do chess, but like the odds are against them and they have to go and do that. But it's like real life chess, like kind of like the Harry Potter one in the Philosopher's Stone, where each of the pieces are like have sentience in a way, and it's pretty good. One of the last episodes in this season, because there is like a side series as well, and they didn't actually continue it because I think the author of the manga was like caught copying stuff from people, or tracing or whatever, or he got arrested for something. I can't remember. But anyway, the last couple of episodes is basically just like Galgun in a way, where they go and shoot people and they like have mind control, and people like chasing them and stuff. It's really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, I don't think I've missed anything. That should be about 50, maybe a bit fewer. I think do feel free to correct me on any of these, or if you're like, oh, you should watch this next. I am in the process of watching like a whole bunch of series. Like I'm watching Gabriel Dropout and Cowboy Bebop, and what is the other one? Isekai Quartet as well. And I've got like the physical copy for some things like limited editions like Horiyama and stuff like that. So yeah, do correct me if I have missed any of the plot points on this, if you agree or disagree. I'm pretty sure there's lots of people that like disagree with the Nisekoi season 2 rating, because I genuinely didn't enjoy it, and this is all this list is based on, is if I enjoyed it or not. But also some of like if I do think it is an actual good thing to watch. I'm not going to like recommend something that I don't actually think is good, if you know what I mean. So there is a difference between something actually being good and something you don't enjoy. Like I don't enjoy The Last of Us Part 1, but it doesn't mean it's bad. So that's my example. I just didn't enjoy it. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. If you did, do feel free to call me a filthy casual for watching in dub. But, that's on you. Let me know what your favourite series are, if you'd change any of the positions of any of these. And thank you very much for watching if you did. And I'm just happy I managed to finally get this video finished. And I'll see you with a review at some point if I ever get round to it. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.